New York Congressman Jamaal Bowman squared off with his political opponent, Westchester County Executive George Latimer, in a debate. It got a little heated between the 16th District of New York candidates when Bowman said a right-wing lobby funded by Trump Republicans is supporting Latimer's campaign against him with millions of dollars.
Is the role that the wealthy, and particularly for my opponent's campaign, billionaire Republicans are buying our democracy. The reason why our democracy doesn't work for working class people and the majority of the American people is because of big money in politics. He is running a big money campaign. They're spending more money in this race to get me out than they have ever spent in their history, meaning AIPAC. More money than they have ever spent in their history. That sounds
like a dog whistle to me.
One issue special interest. Their issue, according to Politico, is Israel.
Correct.
Yeah, so
let me, I think I still had time on the clock.
Yeah.
Good.
So their one issue is Israel, not Mount Vernon, not the Bronx, not New Rochelle, not Portchester, not White Plains, not Tuckahoe, Israel. And they recruited him to run against me. And they're spending more money in this race than they have ever spent in their history. Why? Because I'm fighting against the genocide in Gaza and because I'm speaking up for black and brown people here. We should not be sending billions of dollars to another country to commit genocide while we are struggling to live day to day right here in this district.
Thank you.
We've had enough of the rhetoric of Jamaal Bowman. This district has had enough of it. There's parts of this district that he has flat out ignored. And those are the people that are donating to my campaign because they don't feel they have a congressman who represents them. He doesn't talk about them. He doesn't talk about their needs. He doesn't understand their needs. He doesn't care about understanding their needs. And when he goes to California and gets Silicon Valley money, then has the gall to criticize people who live in the district that give me the money, that's the height of hypocrisy. He has turned into a Washington, D.C. politician in simply 2 quick terms. Didn't take long for him to flip.
Also in that debate, George Latimer lied, y'all. The Justice Democrats, who are, of course, supporting Jamaal Bowman, posted this on their Twitter account. Give me 1 second. I'm going to sit here and switch phones here. I saw this video here, and I was kind of like, okay, pretty interesting. All right, here we go.
Have you ever voted for a Republican?
No.
Mr. Latimer?
No.
I know you're in Party A. My dad's in Party B. I said, not a problem, Jerry. I'm voting for your father, our friend, the great Herman Geist.
Wow, so that's interesting there. So Latimer sat there, lied in this debate, Joy, saying he's never voted for Republican. Dude, 3 weeks earlier you said you did. And Bowman is right. AIPAC is spending millions of dollars, and Republican donors are flooding AIPAC's coffers with money to take out progressive black Democrats. They targeted Summer Lee. She beat him back. They're targeting Cori Bush. They're targeting Jamaal Bowman. They've been targeting Ayanna Pressley. AIPAC is going after black members of Congress.
That's right. And this is where the Democratic has to be really, really careful, including party people that we might love, right? Might have even talked about them in an earlier segment. They have to be really, really careful that they are not doing the bidding for people who are racist, people who are targeting people because they not just don't agree with them, but they want to take out just a whole line of thought. And the fact that they're black faces, they think they can get away with it and no one will say anything about it. They feel like they bought off enough politicians that no one will say anything about it. And we have to be willing to say something about it because our people have eyes. They see what's happening. And they're waiting for the Democratic Party to support them when it counts. Now, there is nothing wrong with supporting different candidates or, saying, hey, I don't support you, I want to give my money elsewhere. But when you seek to attack in such a vicious way with lies and innuendo and other types of behavior that really should only be reserved for the alternative party, such that if Bowman wins, he's going to have people in the Democratic Party who still don't want to support him. That's a problem. That's not what you do when you want to get the majority in the House and the majority in the Senate. We have got to call halt to that kind of campaigning. And anyone, any organization engaged in that kind of campaigning, we've got to say there is no place for that. Because if Black people were doing that, if Palestinian people were doing that, that would not be okay. And people would be saying they're short-sighted and they don't have the end goal in mind.
You have AIPAC specifically targeting, they want to take out Black members of Congress, Candace.
And, this is a real lesson on why we all need to be very politically good consumers, right? Because when you see these debates, we're going to see, right, a debate that's coming up with Trump and Biden, what's that, next week? But they're all going to be saying things that we need to be better consumers, politically speaking, better voters. And this is one of those things that we need to learn more about in terms of AIPAC, the money, what they're doing in order to get Black candidates out. Because when they get up there on, at the dais, they can say anything that they want. So it's going to be incumbent upon us as voters to be more informed and to really rise to the occasion, to be the informed voter that we need to be when they go to the polls, because we see the lies that are right there. But if you're unaware of them, if you're not watching your show, if you're not doing research on your own, you could get caught up and not really understand what is the undercurrent there that people are going through when they are running for office. But we see that the truth is speaking right now with the video that we just saw.
Larry?
So it's important in terms of the context of the conversation. You talk about Black political power. And so we know, Roland, that the CBC currently has its highest, number of members in its history. And so when you chip away at those numbers, you dilute Black political power. That members of the CBC, I'm a former CBC staffer and fellow, staff worked for years to build the caucus to where it is today. The other thing is when you're running someone else of the same party against someone in a primary, that speaks. Now, look, that happens, but when it's in a safe seat, there's some much deeper conversations my colleagues alluded to that we need to have when it comes as it relates to the Democratic Party. But like I said, let's be clear about what happens if he loses this seat. There's one less member of the CBC, and once again, that may be one less person that serves on a committee that means a lot to Black empowerment and addressing issues that have plagued the Black community because of systemic racism for decades.
Yeah, somebody's killing poor people, and it's going on now. Yeah.
When COVID happened, poor people were dying at a rate already of 800 people a day. Before COVID, if you went to a funeral every single day, it would take you 600 years to attend all the funerals of the people who will die from the ravages of policy violence, poverty, and low wages in America in just 1 year. It would take you 2 years and 19 days to go to all of the funerals of the people that will die today, and oftentimes silence. Nobody talks about this political genocide, but we are determined today to remember their death and be a resurrection of voting power and voice power like never before.
Economic justice and saving this democracy are deeply connected. We, as a nation, must listen to the demands of the poor, who are pushing and will continue to push political candidates and elected leaders to lift from the bottom so that everybody can rise.
We are the poor, the marginalized, and the underpaid. And we are taking one step forward to say that everybody has a right to live.
Poverty is not the fault of those who are impoverished. It is caused by those who make the policy.
There are over 135 million poor and low-wage, low-income people in this nation.
The biggest block of potential voters by far is low-income, low-wage voters.
I can't afford medicine. Sometimes I have to skip because of the cost.
The farm worker community is tired of the violence imposed upon us by greed, exclusion, and denial of basic human rights.
Those folk that represented by that casket, poor and low-wage workers who are the most moral people in this country because they go to work every day believing, even though going to work is hazardous to their health.
I'm tired of working 70 to 80 hours a week and still not have money for the necessity of bills. I'm tired of getting sick and not being able to go see the doctor. Having to make a choice to pay between rent or the light bill or food or clothes.
You cannot claim to care about families and a culture of life and then do everything in your power to rob people of equal access to resources and to force them to live in poverty.
Leadership of both parties had waged war on poor people and low-wage workers.
And this government has treated people experiencing poverty, including their military families, with disdainful, deliberate, malicious neglect.
So the truth is that my son died from poverty.
We refuse to accept poverty as the fourth leading cause of death.
The fourth leading cause of death in this, the richest country in the world.
We march today for our children and the generations to come.
And we need to do it with the loudest voices possible, the biggest actions possible.
We will voice our demands and register our vote.
When we stand up and when we stand together, things change.
There is the electorate that is, and then there is the electorate that should be.
34 million eligible poor and low-income voters did not vote in 2016. If just 20% of those voters in swing states were mobilized around an agenda, they could change the political outcome of every election. So we're launching the most massive voter mobilization and turnout campaign in history of poor and low-wage voters, allies, and religious leaders.
People are dying, but we know it doesn't have to be this way. And so we are calling on everyone to join us in this Poor People's Campaign, a national call for more revival.
We are here, we will be seen, we will be heard, and our power will be felt. We don't need to be an insurrection. We are a resurrection that will be felt across this country. Are you ready? Ready, ready, ready. We are a resurrection, and we are ready.